Live? Oh, yeah.
Pre-show.
When it says the broadcast is live, that would be a good indicator.
Joe, that would be your cue to probably start talking to everybody. Yeah.
All right. So we got Atheist for the Cause. What's up, dude? Kyle is here. Sam is here. Sebastian.
Here.
Vontel.
And
is it
I'll add him.
Jay Roski?
He's here. Hello, Kyle.
One moment.
Okay. I mean, he's in the pre-show, but he's not in the pre-show.
I heard his voice.
Now he's in the pre-show.
What up?
Hello,
I don't even know. Man, this is so weird because I can't see you.
Do you want me to take this screen down so you can just see him?
I think that's what makes the pre-show fun
back
for
a little
me.
bit.
Yeah, I like not being in the know.
Okay. Now I'm just going to let everybody know now that the video is definitely going to be screwed up because Kyle joined a little late to the pre-show, so it's going to be out of order. So I'm going to have to fix it when we start. So don't be getting in the comments.
I don't understand why you guys had to start without me.
We just couldn't wait, man.
I was too busy losing my mind over the latest news on Deshaun Watson.
Which
you know what? I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the show. I'm going to
Chris,
save it.
You're not going to like if we go down this path and we have this conversation. Joe and I texted a little bit today, and he was asking me some questions. And Joe, you already know what you asked me.
Yep.
And yeah, you're not going to like as the draft dude's Deshaun Watson hater for some odd reason. You're not going to like where this conversation goes. I mean, pop open a mighty swell.
Please,
here.
Please,
Kyle, that was information disclosed between friends. No,
Kyle can see because Kyle can see my screen, and we're gonna go live here in a couple of minutes. But I came prepared for tonight.
Oh, very nice. Hold on, I gotta let my cat in.
Okay.
So Kyle has two cats. I'm guessing this is Bo because he doesn't like mittens.
No, Bo always hangs out on the show. Oh, you guys see the new setup? Because I'm back in AZ.
Oh yeah. Let's hype it up to let him down there, Chris.
I wish I was kidding too. My office is downstairs. He comes down and bangs on the door until I let him in, and I didn't want everybody listening to that for the entirety of the show. So,
by the way, great call by Brian because I already forgot about this. A Deshaun Watson trade, even if it isn't to the Jets, is a very pro Chris move because of the Built Bar bet.
Oh boy. Oh no! Wait.
This all comes up Schubert, really.
I got 5 years for them to finish in the top 2. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, they'll get there. They'll get there, especially after he goes somewhere and the quarterback they get back in the deal.
All right, let's.
You want to do the video? You want to do? I have to find the right button here. All right, you guys ready?
My lord! Play the video.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes here on the Draft Dudes podcast presented by Locked On. It's Joe Marino, Kyle Krabs, and Chris Schubert from the Draft Network. And we are your hosts here on this live episode of the show. Is it takes on takes? Is it would you rather? It's
scientists don't even know.
It's whatever you want it to be. We're here to talk football with you tonight. And of course, our good friends at Mighty Swell.
Joe, wonderful taste today, brother.
Wow. You didn't even plan that. A round of applause in the chat, please.
Blackberry.
Kyle and Joe tonight on the show.
Is that song is Black Betty, isn't it? But in my mind, it's Blackberry.
Black Betty. Yeah,
it'll be fun. Like the theme song for
it could work though.
Yeah. Mighty Swell, the best spiked seltzer on the planet.
I want to make sure we get that sip in there.
Yeah, we had
the authentic effect.
Yeah.
So we didn't do this on Monday night. We ended up doing what ended up being a 2 hour and 15-minute roundtable about all the scouting all the coaching vacancies.
Listen, the analytics say the people loved it, guys. Okay,
it's true.
Yeah, we had you can tell we've as a podcast titled The Draft Dudes. You can tell we flipped the switch into the off season because everybody's gung ho on the podcast feed. So it's exciting, and we're excited to if you joined us over the course of the last year, taking this ride through the draft cycle with us.
We're here for you, Chris. Yes. Can't help but notice you got a New York Mets hat on.
I do. It's been a pretty big day in Mets land. I'm not going to derail this entire podcast with baseball talk, but I'm wearing the Mets hat because of the trade that they made today. We will leave it at that. I saw some people in the comments, giving me praise for the hat. We'll just leave it at that. And
is there any praise in the comments for your new background?
So somebody did mention, it was actually Sam said it's not a blank wall anymore. You would be correct. There is soundproof foam back there. It's not doing that great of a job. But no, there's a table back here with some stuff, a mini fridge over in this corner.
So you're back in the Beats factory now. This is the laboratory.
I am back.
This is where the magic happens in your regular.
This is where I do my work on a normal basis. Yes.
Does that much soundproof foam matter? Does it actually help you?
Should I make an investment here? I got.
It's like.
I mean, I have like 9 panels up above me right here. I have some over there. I have some over on this wall, and I have some back here. I got to put more up. It's a big room. Not a lot of stuff in here.
Chris, I haven't really been looking at the comments, but is this going to turn into the Deshaun Watson Super Show tonight?
It certainly feels like we're going that direction. And I have to ask you guys, how quickly do you want to just rip the Band-Aid off this thing? Do you want to teeter into this slowly, or are we going car crash show right off the bat, rip the Band-Aid?
What do the people want? What do the comments say?
So there's a take that is definitely rip the Band-Aid off. This show's going to go off the rails, and we're never going to recover. I just don't know if that's where we want to start 6 minutes into the show.
We don't have to commit to. Did you see anything else that commanded your attention beforehand? I have a take. Joe, Sean Wade is making a mistake by calling out Devonta Smith before the national championship game.
Oh. Yes, I didn't know that he did that, but
he said something along the lines of, "You know who I want to cover."
Oh no! Well, that would be good for Sean Wade because Sean Wade has a lot to prove based on the tape he put out this year, and so if he can lock down Devonta Smith in the national championship game, that would be very good for his draft stock. But
man,
I think based on the way those 2 players went this year, doesn't look good for Mr. Sean Wade. One of those
going these ways, right?
Yeah.
So Andrew says car crash.
All right.
So, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. The Jets should trade for Deshaun Watson just so we can see Schubert be disappointed that Deshaun is his quarterback.
No. I love Deshaun way too much to watch him go to New York. I don't want to see him in New York.
I don't you guys act like as if Deshaun's my quarterback. I'm going to throw a fit. I would love Deshaun Watson to be my quarterback.
$72 million in cap space. Seems like
right.
And all this draft capital. Well, it sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't hate Deshaun Watson. I don't know how this take evolved into my disdain for Deshaun Watson. I have QB 8? You guys are yelling at me having the top 5. We're arguing over 3 spots here. I love Deshaun Watson is a very good quarterback. If Deshaun Watson would end up being the quarterback of my team, I'm very happy with that. That is an upgrade in the position where we are now. Now, does that mean they win a championship right away? I don't think so.
No, because they need all the assets that it would take to get Deshaun. They need to build a competent roster around whoever the quarterback is.
So not only are you giving away the assets, but you're using one of the tools, and this has been the argument here, you're using one of the tools that you do have, which is that $72 million in cap space. It's only $15 million this year, but it's $40 the following year, where you have a lot of holes to fill. So yes, Deshaun Watson makes the Jets better, but to Kyle's point, the stuff you have to give up in order to get him, I don't know if it makes the Jets all of a sudden, contenders for the playoffs. I'm just not sure that happens.
Now, hold on, Chris. He's only due $35 in cash. He has a 5.4 prorated signing bonus that's already been paid by the Houston Texans.
Okay, so I looked at this because, as you know, this is what I do. I look into quarterback contracts. His cap number is 40 for 2022. Now,
right, because
if that's being covered by the Texans, I'm okay with that.
The 5.4 signing bonus is prorated from what his signing bonus was when he signed the deal.
Okay.
So the $35 million base salary is the only thing that a new team would be responsible for in taking on his new contract. So it's 35.
Okay.
In cash. And I don't even know if that's, what's down in here in the fine print about guarantees.
So on March 22nd of 2022, so of March 22nd of next year, his money for 2023, some of it becomes fully guaranteed.
And they put a roster bonus on him of $17 million.
Correct. But those things are fully guaranteed on the 22nd.
Who cares? He's that good.
You asked the question.
And even with the roster bonus, because his base salary, the way Houston tried to finesse this, is they put a roster bonus in to make his cap number more friendly to manipulate going forward. He only has a base salary in 2023 of $20 million. So you're talking new cash. Team trades for Deshaun Watson. You take on new cash in 2022, $35 million. In 2023, $37. In 2024, $32. And in 2025, $32. That's the cash that you as the team have to pay out if you trade for Deshaun Watson.
Again, the assets that need to be given up and how much cash you are committing over. I'll ask you.
I agree with you.
Jets don't immediately become like the best team in the AFC East, even by doing this. Like, they're still miles behind the Bills and the Dolphins.
No, they have the most proven quarterback, but I think Josh Allen's ceiling of play in 2020 was better than Deshaun Watson's ceiling of play, but they have the most proven quarterback and easily the worst roster everywhere else. It does not make sense for the New York Jets to do this.
Does it make sense for the Miami Dolphins to do this? Peel back the layer. Let's talk about our text exchange today.
Joe texted me, Chris. He
unprovoked.
Unprovoked. He said,
thanks for including me in this.
If you were Miami, would you trade Tua, 3 and 18 for Deshaun Watson?
I think you would, right?
My answer is yes in a heartbeat.
And this, Kyle,
that's no slight to Tua.
I think your team and my team are the perfect, juxtaposition of this argument, right?
Because Miami's 2 years in and New York's on square one.
Right. You have to evaluate where you are in the process. And for just a moment, take the talent of Deshaun Watson and put that aside, right? That has to go to the back burner. And you need to evaluate where you are as a team. I'll give you an example. The 49ers, if they can make the cap work, should be all over this.
Yes.
Right?
There's probably 10 teams. Chicago Bears with their defense.
Yes.
If you can re-sign Allen Robinson,
they
should be all over it.
Yes.
They should be all over it. You know, those teams that have really solid, sturdy rosters, but don't have sturdy quarterback play in a heartbeat.
This would never happen, but the Colts should be all over this.
Right. It'll never happen.
He's showing.
What did I say there, Joe? I couldn't read it.
Your response was, would you trade 318 and Tua for Watson? You responded as quick as you ever have to a text message I've sent you in a heartbeat. And then I said, that's my new Dolphins nightmare. Does everybody know my current Dolphins nightmare?
It's ETN and Jalen Waddle.
It is. Now, that is very much rejected by a lot of Miami fans so far, like getting feedback over sending that they want Devonta Smith and Najee Harris. They want that over Waddle and ETN. I'm like, okay, please, God, give them Harris and Smith instead. And then you also said that you would pack Tua's bags.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if that gets it done. Does that get you Watson? Is it that?
Probably not.
Gotta give up more, right?
Yeah, I would imagine you would have to give up more than just a young quarterback and 2-1s for Deshaun.
Have we ever seen a quarterback of this talent at this stage of his career potentially be available via trade?
Jay Cutler's not close.
No.
So we're in an unknown here, guys. Like we can't even begin to understand what the compensation is going to be on this.
Did the Patriots get enough for Drew Bledsoe? Because the Bills only gave up a 1 for him. It wound up being like 11 or 13 overall. They picked Ty Warren. Drew Bledsoe, like the year before, he signed a 10-year deal with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, I'm not trying to spend much time on this, but thinking about what it would take to get Watson, and I'm not saying Bledsoe's as good as Watson, but like maybe New England should have got more than a 1, especially from a division rival in that deal. But that was the only other trade that I thought to myself, like quarterback, young, Bledsoe wasn't that young, but kind of like in their prime being traded. I'm not sure there's a lot of precedent for this.
All the monster deals for quarterbacks were players that weren't proven at the NFL level yet. You know, you think about like when John Elway got drafted and said, no, I'm not doing it. Eli Manning. No. But as far as a player who's literally in his prime and passed for 4,800 yards this past season, and I forget what outlet it was, but somebody tracks like the caliber of play, almost like a WAR type, or it might have been PFF WAR. But if it's not, I'm going to be real mad that I misquoted it. But like Deshaun Watson had the best season a quarterback for a 4-12 football team has ever had in the history of the NFL. Like it was incredible.
So how do you weigh what's like, obviously there's probably 20 teams that should want Deshaun Watson right now. Maybe more, right? Maybe 25. How do you balance this out? Like, what is too much to give up for Deshaun Watson? Keeping in mind, and this goes back to Chris's entire point about the amount of money that you're going to have committed to him cap-wise. I know it maybe doesn't seem like it's as much, but kind of weighing all that together. I mean, I think the Dolphins are a good team to keep it with because they're unique because they can give back Tua in exchange, which is, that's a pretty exciting quarterback. So they'll have
you also give up the 3rd overall pick for a team that feels like they're a contender that would have the mentality to go ahead and do this, but they still have a top 5 pick.
This is a great point. Sam brings up a great point. The Raiders traded 2 firsts for Carson Palmer when they made that deal.
And Carson was like threatening to retire, or he did retire and unretired.
And how old was he when he got traded? He was older than 25.
31, I think.
Let me see here. His first year in Oakland was in 2011 when he was 30.
Tell me he was 31.
He was 32.
So he was 31 when he was traded.
Right. So
all right, Mazel Tov. That's sick.
Okay, Kyle. So Tua 3-18 and your 2022 1. Are you still in?
Yes, I'm still doing it.
All right. The same thing plus one of those 2s this year.
I still think Miami would need to be able to add to the skill group. So
you still have a 2nd round pick.
Right.
And you have cap space, and there's a good list of receivers that you could go after. And I'm sure Deshaun being the quarterback is going to make it an appealing place to come play. South Florida, you got the no tax thing going, and so.
And here's what I don't want this conversation to become which is like a bag on Tua. I think long term Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a great NFL quarterback, but it's Deshaun Watson, who in the physical prime of his career he's so cerebral. He makes so much happen individually. I see somebody thinks that Deshaun Watson is not better than Tua. Positive.
Oh, Christ.
Okay.
Watson is not better than Tua, a possible Sewell, and possible Rashad Bateman.
Let's extend this to some other teams, right?
Yes.
Carolina, San Francisco. The thing about those teams is they don't have it now, right? Like the thing that makes the Jets and Dolphins interesting is that they legitimately have the 2 pick and the 3 pick. Miami has this Tua dynamic. The Jets have all the cap space. Like they're loaded now. And so it doesn't feel like it's that significant. If you're talking about a team like Carolina or San Francisco, you're talking about potentially no first round
3 years worth of. Yeah.
You're recreating the Texans situation literally in your building.
By the way, I do want to make a correction. The Carson Palmer trade, somebody pointed this out in the chat. It was a 1st and a 2nd that was conditional, and it could have become a 1st. Just want to correct the record there on that. Want to be accurate here on the show. Can I do a housekeeping thing right off the top here?
Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy wants to know where the Levi Grail is. The Levy Grail is for the Bears. And
you made the playoffs.
You made the playoffs. They don't qualify.
You don't get one.
You don't get one for being
in the chat for Chicago for making the playoffs. This
so
year.
Chicago Bears have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year,
right.
Folks. They're in.
So there's no hope to give you. You're getting a chance to win a championship. The teams that we have mentioned are not. Do you guys mind staying on the Houston topic for just a moment? Not the Deshaun side of it, but another side of it.
Sure.
If I can find the take in enough time, we can.
Sure.
Do it.
I mean, go ahead.
How do you not even want to interview Bieniemy or Saleh if you're Houston? Because the reports are out there that they have not asked either of those teams for permission to talk to those guys.
They did this with their GM search, right? They paid this company, firm hundreds of thousands of dollars to give them the list of candidates. And then they didn't even go with the list of candidates, and they just hired Nick Cassero. They have what they already have their mind made up, right? That's what I'm gathering from the Texans. And that's part of what Deshaun's pissed about, because he went out to dinner with the owner and all that, probably expressed what he would like to see happen, gave his input, and then none of that even mattered.
Well, I think they said that, they went out to dinner to discuss, but like they didn't even get into the nuts and bolts, but there was like the verbal agreement of we're going to value your opinion in this. And then they went out and hired it without even asking him anything about it. So
at least pretend like you're going to do your due diligence and actually talk to these people.
Right.
Because this just screams formality, right? Like,
so, yeah. And I think not interviewing at least one of those two, if you want to make the case here, Houston, for now, have a young franchise quarterback that's one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and you want to hire an offensive coach to be his head coach, okay, Robert Saleh, maybe he's not for you, whatever. But Bieniemy, like, with all the success that he's had with one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that surpasses the talent of what Deshaun Watson has, man, that's and the people that they are interviewing, guys like Joe Brady, right? Joe Brady seems like one of the favorites in the clubhouse. Joe, would you pick anybody else right now other than Joe Brady?
I think he makes a lot of sense. I predictively, I think I'm there. I think you can't help but think maybe with the Patriots connections that Brian Daboll would be an option. But I mean, I don't think Dable's going there if it doesn't mean Deshaun's there, because I think he's going to be able to have that Chargers gig too.
And McDaniels has already been axed off the list, like it's not going to happen. So it won't be Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. So
do you get a little worried there? Because there is this whole kind of concern about the culture in Houston and Easterby being there and those dynamics, and you hire, they do whatever they want in hiring Cassero, which whatever, Nick Cassero is a very highly well-regarded personnel individual.
Paid him,
but they paid him $6 million or 6 years worth of a contract, right?
I think Schefter or somebody said that it was like he's paid among the top 5 NFL GMs right now. He's never held the job.
So I guess my concern is if Easterby's like this with Cal McNair, and they did the search firm thing, and Easterby did whatever he wanted anyway, what kind of head coach are you really going to be able to attract? Is a guy like Joe Brady, who's really young and in the grand scheme of things, probably not as ideally ready as you would like a head coach to be for a team that has a championship caliber quarterback. Like, you just want the guy that's going to be glad to get the gig and gung-ho and try and make it happen, versus a guy who's going to understand some of the office politics dynamics that are taking place in Houston that would scare more qualified individuals away.
In Joe Brady's defense, it's not like a Jim Tom Sula situation, right? Like, you just
correct, like
a warm body. Like Joe Brady, I think eventually is going to make a fine NFL head coach. I wouldn't make that decision to hire him this cycle, but I for Houston to kind of get ahead of it and maybe take a swing like that, maybe be interested in a Brandon Staley, something like that. I could see it.
So, but that kind of feels like the direction that they're trending. And that's why I feel really good about Joe Brady being the candidate, because we heard he did well with his interview. And this is the kind of candidate that they're going to have to attract if this is how they're going to play the game in the front office.
I bet Brady's a great interview. I've listened to his press conferences, and like, you can really buy in, and he's well-spoken, and he has very motivating thoughts and ideas that he weaves into his responses. Like, he's super likable in that regard. So I bet he's a great interview, and you probably say, oh my God, what this guy did at LSU, this Panthers offense had a pulse without Christian McCaffrey. Like, all right, let's get ahead of it. And you look at the risk, or I guess the risk or the gamble that two teams, the Rams, right, with McVay, and the Packers with Matt LaFleur, like those swings, like at the time you could probably criticize them just like you may if Joe Brady were to get the Texans job, but nobody's laughing now. And so maybe that's kind of what they subscribe to there.
I have a comment that I've seen now twice, so we have to discuss it.
Is it Vontel's hypothetical?
No, it's Jason asking about looking forward to seeing your new haircut. And I've seen a couple of people in the chat tonight say, I can't wait to see Kyle's new haircut. Now, I'm not going to read the part about what he thinks your old haircut looked like. I'll just let the listeners of the live version of the show see what that says. But
yeah, I think people should let people choose to make whatever fashion or style decisions that they'd like to, and keep their opinions to themselves. That's what I think. So next question, Chris.
Oh, I wish I had like a next question drop here for you.
Put Vontel's hypothetical up here. He's been dying to get us to ask about this 16-game season.
Oh, gosh. All right. Would you rather, for literally every game, play a full 16-game season in 90-degree humid heat, 55-degree weather and heavy rain?
Not the rain.
Or 15-degree weather with clear skies? I'm assuming I'm not in a dome for any of these environments, right? Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, you have to be exposed to the elements. Otherwise, that's such a lame out, Chris.
I was just asking the question.
I let my dogs outside this morning. It was 28 degrees. I thought I was going to die.
So
So
you're
I don't
not
know.
15 degrees, not for Joe.
Yeah, I don't think I can do the 15. I don't know. Rain
not-
sucks. I'm taking the heat.
I'll take the heat.
I can't take the heat.
I'll take the heat.
No.
You live in the hot,
Yeah, but there's
hottest climate of all three. of us.
I know, but there was a word Von Tell put in there that
Human.
changes this.
Human.
Not humid here.
So you're basically saying, do you want to play for like the Jaguars? Oh, sure, fine. Or do you want to just play like for the Packers, but only in January?
Now give me the
Seattle.
55 degree in the rain. I'll take the rain.
No.
90 degrees.
There's nothing worse than like wet socks playing football. No.
Yeah,
It's
wet
terrible.
socks is one of the worst things in general, anyways. Like,
Correct.
horrible.
I have one from Sam here that
Okay.
is interesting because I want to get your guys' thoughts, not just on the example that he puts up there, but just in general. He asks, what would it take for Zach Wilson to jump Justin Fields on your big board? So I'll go big picture with it. At this juncture here, we've turned the calendar to 2021. It's January, drafts in April. We've only got a couple of months. What type of stuff, what type of new information? I know the combine and watching more film, but what kind of stuff sticks out for you guys that makes you move guys up and down your big board?
I haven't evaled either one of these two players. So there's
Yeah.
I'm going to, but I've got like 5 more weeks on ACC, AAC, Sun Belt, and like 3 SEC teams. So I'm not ready to talk about this. But once I do the film work, like that'll be it. I'm not. There's no new information. So once I've done the evaluation, it's over with for me.
Well, and I think this year's a little different for us, Joe, because in years past, the way that we've done player evaluations is different than the way that we're doing it this year, which is this year we've got all the traits, and the traits get graded on a sliding scale out of a possible 10 points. And at the end, it totals up to X out of 100. And that is your player grade. Well, in years past, there's been a film component, and then we've kind of put that through a foil with whether it's production or athletic testing. And we'll account all of those things when we do our final summary of an evaluation. But the way that they would change is if we're going to grade a receiver and he runs 4.6, maybe we reduce his vertical receiving or run after catch score by a decimal point or something like that, to kind of take into account what those athletic testing dynamics are that aren't reflected when we just watch the film. So it's kind of streamlined the process a little bit. But as far as the dynamics of Wilson versus Fields, I feel pretty comfortable with where I am with both of these guys. And it goes back to when you're evaluating on the outside, and you're evaluating for all 32 teams, it generally becomes more of a risk assessment evaluation than anything else. So the risk assessment for Justin Fields versus the risk assessment of Zach Wilson, where do you feel more comfortable? Who do you feel is has a higher ceiling, but simultaneously also has a higher floor?
This one from Halil's Real Football Talk. Kyle Trask cost himself a full round of draft stock with his performance versus Oklahoma.
I think Kyle Trask showed us who he actually was against Oklahoma.
Correct.
I think that's the player he's always been.
You know what, Kyle? I threw that up there on a tee for you. You just hit it right out of the park. It's so good there.
I think in the what do they call that? The court of public opinion.
Yeah,
I think people have kind of been fed that this is a first-round quarterback for like the entire season based on the statistical output that he's had this year, and never really dialed into the traits, and that's what matters, right, for the NFL. And because when I wrote that article in November, like I said, Kyle Trask is not worth a first-round pick. That was not met with a lot of enthusiasm by people, right? It was very much, oh man, this guy's had a Joe Brady-like season, and he's a first-round quarterback. And now that game happened, and all of a sudden, all right, the bandwagon's starting to fill up. I think for, if anything, nothing's changed in the NFL's mind. I think in the football community more so, it's where it needs to be, I think.
This one from Mark. Do you think Smith goes ahead of Waddle due to injury concerns?
I don't know if injury concerns is going to be the selling point.
What if that wasn't in this take? What if it was just, do you think Smith goes ahead of Waddle, like predictively?
That's one of those ones where I need the full evaluation of Devonta Smith. So if Devonta Smith shows up at the combine and he's 172 and he runs 4.53, he's probably not going to go ahead of Jalen Waddle, who's going to come in at 185 and run in the 4.2s. Their tape's incredible, both of them. But that can be the divide that makes the decision as far as, like Joe said, NFL evaluation is more about the traits and projecting the traits. And Waddle running 4.2 something being the closest thing we've seen to Tyreek Hill since Tyreek Hill coming out as far as being a prospect and knowing that speed kills. And John Ross got drafted in the top 10 with a bunch of injury concerns as is, and way worse tape than what Jalen Waddle's put on in any of his time at Alabama. I think Waddle is really going to get a chance to really make a push and remind everybody how good his resume is.
All right, this one from Kyle. Rank by most likely to be traded: Darnold, Stafford, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G, Watson. Think we put Jimmy G at the end of this list?
No, I don't know, because
they'll just cut him.
Well, his financials are easier to move too.
It's just, but they can just cut him and it doesn't mess with them. So that's more likely than trading him.
I'll go Darnold, Watson, Stafford, Ryan, Jimmy G, because I think they're going to cut Jimmy G.
That was my order as well, Joe.
Okay.
I have to do an AMA on the Draft Network.
Oh, he's bouncing. He's
out. Well, first can we do playoff picks?
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Playoff picks, just a little fun here.
Joe came prepared.
Joe came prepared.
I wrote down the games.
A little segment I wasn't prepared for.
The reason I did this is because I didn't want to tie up the bandwidth on my computer by having another browser open, so I just wrote them down in advance.
Smart.
Right? Thanks,
Smart.
All right, Colts at Bills.
Bills.
Kyle's silence speaks for itself.
Next.
Rams at Seahawks.
Seahawks.
I got Seahawks.
Seahawks are at home. That's a huge deal.
Seahawks.
And what's up with Jared Goff's
Yeah, that's the thing that's stopping me from picking the Rams.
All right, we're gonna predict an upset here. Bucks at the Washington football team.
No, although the last 3 road favorites favored by this much have lost outright in the playoffs.
Well, the funny thing is, the football team's the 4 seed here. That they're the home team. So. Right. All right, Bucks. Are we all on the Bucks here?
Bucks, yes.
Bucks.
Ravens at Titans. This is the most compelling matchup in my view.
I'll jump Ravens.
I like the Ravens.
They're playing really good football, but they've played a lot of really bad teams down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Tennessee just to be different on that one.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate
Bears
that.
at Saints. Are we all Saints here?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, Saints.
Who dat?
Browns at Steelers.
All right, so this is the Steelers, but I want to bring up, I have to find it. It's from Braden earlier in the show. It's a take. So you guys make your picks while I find this take.
I think that it's going to be Pittsburgh, and I think the Browns are just really shorthanded.
Yeah, Cleveland, congrats on making the playoffs for the first time since 2002, and your reward is you're missing half your starters.
I think if it was normal scenario, I'd pick Cleveland. It's just not, though.
So
they're not even practicing. They're missing 8 starters. It's a lot.
This is not the take. I'm sorry.
Kyle Trask doesn't play for the Browns.
So Braden's take was, I can't find it, so I'm just gonna say it, that Kevin Stefanski should be allowed to coach virtually. He should be able to coach from afar. And the mental image that popped into my head was
Hugh Freeze up in the box
from up in the press box, sitting in the hospital bed, just kind of looking down at the field.
Is it gonna matter? Does that make a difference?
So okay, I don't think it makes a difference. In terms of I think I would have picked the Steelers even with Stefanski coaching, but it certainly doesn't help the Browns that Stefanski can't coach and call plays, right? It puts them even significantly further behind.
Yeah. Well, I will be on the Draft Network's Twitter account, folks. Come see me there.
Swing over AMA. Joe dropped third round of his mock. And we are done for the week. So we'll be back next week after the wild card, the mega super wild card round of the playoffs. Should be a fun weekend of football. Like we said on Thursday's show, no football all week. It's been tough, but we made it. The weekend's here. We'll get 6 NFL games this weekend, and we will be here to break it all down for you on Monday. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino, and Chris Shuby Schubert. Thanks as always for listening / watching the Draft Dudes podcast.